In the UK statement of Amber Heard has stated Depp actually wanted her to go and support him through his detox. She was trapped with Johnny, who was verbally and physically abusive towards her. She said she reported this to Debbie. She also alleges she was kicked and pushed, grabbed her hair and slapped her. She also says that it's not true that Depp claims that she was keeping medicine away. She says that she was flown back earlier than planned and was afraid of Depp, as it has been so crazy on the island, and so she stayed in a hotel for a few days. Depp, on the other hand, in his witness statement stated that they went to Bahamas to reduce his dependency on Roxy's, not alcohol. Says he wasn't dependent or addicted to any other drugs. Depp also says she took the place of Nathan Holmes, his second personal assistant, and said that Amber Heard withheld medicine from him which causes spasms and other withdrawals. I will sidebar here quickly because we have seen from evidence that was actually Christie that was supposed to take over. He corrected this in the VA case, so that is apparent it was supposed to be Christie. Going back to his witness statement, he says that he did not have several manic episodes requiring medical attention, and says that the door did not split in half as alleged, because that door does not actually exist in the Bahamas, but it's actually one of the penthouses in LA. He also says that there was an argument on the 17th. He tried not to engage in the argument and tried to separate as she was shouting. He claimed that she said to the doctors he pushed her and denies this happening. And at the time, she wasn't claiming to be slapped or grabbed by the hair. He also says that he found Amber Heard made the recovery in Bahamas difficult, so he asked for space, and I put her up and her friends in a hotel suite, and so that he could recover undisturbed.
I'm a mental health nurse. I've done all aspects of nursing, including substance misuse, including criminal justice system, and the people with offenders with mental health issues. The scenario that you have just painted with Tony, is it Tony Depp you said?
No, sorry. Johnny Depp.
Johnny Depp. You know me already. Johnny Depp. Now, what happens in that case? We have a lot of cases now, especially in the older people with substance misuse that were prescribed codeine in the past.
Okay.
Or diazepam in the past. There are people who are dependent on a particular medication, in the sense that they cannot function without taking that medication.
How important are these distinctions?
It depends on who is in your presence. Somebody traveling in the same bus with you, or using the same taxi with you, or being on the same street with you might not actually be able to identify the difference between addiction and dependency. But if somebody is sitting before me, based on the history, based on the presentation, I'll be able to know that this guy is dependent and not addictive to something.
In the trial, he testified that the wife that he was with was withholding medication. Is this something that would happen in the professional field? Like, have you ever been in a situation where you would withhold a drug and say, nope, you gotta wait until let's say 4 o'clock, let's say 5 o'clock, etc.?
Absolutely. I'm not saying it's the correct thing to do, but we have a procedure where, in terms of ethics of medication, we talk about the right time, because each medication has what we call time life. That's why they say they will tell you, do not administer this medication after minimum of 4 hours intervals. So, and you have to understand that people respond to pains in different ways. That's what we call pain threshold. There are people with very low pain threshold. There are people with very high pain thresholds. Take, for instance, there are some medication that they prescribe by 9 o'clock. You cannot take it again until 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
Okay.
Because that is the time life of that medication. There are some medication that if it is being prescribed now, depending on what time you take it, you cannot take it before 12 hours. Otherwise, it will lead to overdose in the system. And there is something in the system that we call buffer.
Okay.
When that medication is too much in your system and you overload it, that means you now become intoxicated with that particular medication because you don't allow the dose that you took earlier to excrete. That is why we are able to tell you, take it at, if you take 12, take it again at 6 p.m. So that means from 1 o'clock to 5 o'clock, the excretion has now been complete. So your body now gives the medication that you are now taking is not going to be toxic to your system. The trick behind that is that instead of you withholding medication, you can give him a lesser, not a lesser amount. I'm not talking about the lesser amount of the same medication. You could give him a lesser amount of another painkiller, but the wife didn't do the right thing by withholding. Rather, there would have been a replacement of a lesser strength of painkiller.
Do you think that's down to maybe the wife not knowing?
Yes.
Or more of the doctor maybe not advising her properly?
That is the thing, because you should know what you take. So you are given a leaflet of every medication that you take, including multivite, so that you know exactly what you are taking. You know the effect of it.
I'll give the wife the benefit of the doubt and say she didn't know. But what he was testifying to was he felt a lot of pain, that he had to jump into the shower and turn on the hot water so that it could
suit him.
Yeah. How common of is that something that would happen if somebody couldn't wait until the next window? Could they do something like that?
Anything that he could do to help him cope with that withdrawal, because that is called withdrawal.
Okay.
Addiction is easily noticeable than dependency. Somebody could be dependent on a particular thing for years and even die with it, nobody knows. But as soon as somebody is addicted to something, you will see the panic ways if that thing is not met, if that behavior is not met.
Would you advise anybody to withhold medication from without offering an alternative, etc.?
No, that is what I said earlier, that it was not properly managed. On the course of you withholding that medication, it could go into coma.
Oh, okay.
And that would be the worst part. That is why if somebody is being detoxed, there's always an alternative. Like, depending on how the management had been, if the person was to be administered a particular medication every 6 hours, and like I said earlier, depending on individual pain threshold, there are people who can withstand pain or withdrawal. So within that time of 6 hours, there might be something in between to cushion the effect of the withdrawal until the real medication becomes available. He was not taking the medication according to how it was prescribed, but maybe there was no replacement. So the wife was trying to do him a favor by saying, look, you have to stick to how it was being prescribed, without the wife knowing that this man is experiencing withdrawal. And withdrawals is very painful.
I also came across a thread, and others having a discourse claimed it was a total fabrication, even to the point of using an 11th of August entry as proof that he was lying. Well, I am going to attempt to address each and every point of this as precise and concisely as I can. On the 13th of June 2014, the day that Depp had declared his dependency on opiates, the next day Dr. Kepa does note that Depp has polysubstance abuse from this consultation. Then he had issues with opiates, thus this was going to be the treatment. Kepa does also note that Amber Heard, Debbie and other staff members were going to be on the island for the detoxification. Miss Lloyd was in charge of issuing the medications as well as supervising. Amber Heard will also administer these meds, not in her presence, and Debbie Lloyd would give instructions on how to provide the medication. Amber Heard also asked they keep a close eye on him during his sobriety fight. Now, the 10th of August was when the detox started. The 11th of August was just one day into it, and he experienced the issue outlined in the note. As muscle spasms and pain took hold, common sense doesn't tell you that the incident didn't occur on this date. How else did Depp know to even take a scalding shower in the first place? Even in the note, it states fiance was told to tell him to take a hot shower. How could this be an event that happened on this precise day, the first day of detox, when the 18th of August records, it records there was a fight with the fiance, which does seem to match up in regards to the account that Depp was providing. Furthermore, he was put to him an incident on the 17th of August 2014. This account, in my opinion, does not show abuse from Amber Heard, because I just think that she was ill prepared and she wasn't equipped with the right tools and skills to actually do this. This is something that me and the alcohol nurse were in agreement with. It's just not something that she was set out to do maliciously. And on top of that, I'm gonna bring in this audio.
Was it clarity? Is it less Adderall? I don't know. Is it work? Is it, something's affecting you, and I'm not judging you. I'm not. In fact, you have elucidated my opinion on medication. Do I not give you your meds every day? Do I not remind you to take them? Do I not? I know that you have to take medication. I am very aware of that. And you have actually changed my mind a bit as to how necessary they can be. I used to kind of think that they were not superfluous, but I don't know, just like
an escape.
Yeah, and now I don't think that, and that's because of you. You changed my opinion about that. But I do know you.
As you can hear, she believed that he was using these meds as a form of escapism. You wouldn't withhold meds if you really believe that they really needed it. Otherwise, you are a cold person, a cold shrew. If I'm just gonna be blunt, you would be that. However, based on the entire event, I just didn't think that she envisioned that being the case, and that incident completely changed her life. I didn't give the alcohol nurse that broke this down to me his medication, anything like that, so that I can get the most general and basic understanding of how this whole process actually works. It was threads like this and countless others that had created such a discourse around this case in regards to alcohol abuse, in regards to addiction. People just have the hunch that they know something, and they don't do their due diligence to make sure that they're not causing more and more stigmas on sufferers. Anyway, 19th of August 2014, Depp messages Paige saying, "I could not have made it without her. I would have gone for a swim and swallowed a big drink of the ocean. To be honest, it was hell of my own doing. But your little girl walked through with me step by step. I know you are already proud of her, but if you've seen her in action, amazing. It was an exercise of monumental patience and instinct. I would not be alive, sweetheart. There were more than a few times when I thought it would be more simple to take that route. It was Amber and Amber only who got me through it." On the 21st of August 2014, JD wanted to fire everyone. Kipper was saying, "Stop firing me." JD said, "Okay." On the 20th of August 2014, a day prior, it shows Depp letting Amber Heard know why he has to be alone after they had gotten back from the island, as recorded that this was 19th of August 2019. The incident happened on the 18th of August according to the notes. The next day they were already on their way off the island, and then the next day Depp had said, hey, it's time for you to go, I need to do this by myself, just like he said. The same day those texts were sent at 5:49 p.m. Nurse Debbie Lloyd records at 12:30. It was noted that Depp expressed frustration with the detox process, and was noted after he had processed his feelings, he realized how far he had come and said he partly wanted to give up due to tensions between him and his fiancée. But one thing you must understand, in this incident, Depp did not say that Amber had hit him. Depp did not say that Amber had done anything. It's just she wouldn't give him the meds that he was asking for, and come to your own conclusion. But the point remains, this was not an incident in which Depp made up. That would be completely absurd. I believe she just felt embarrassed of this event and said that Depp was abusing her, because that's how she is, in my honest opinion. Because the evidence here could not be even more clear on why this event occurred the way it did. And when you see people making these threads to try and absolve her from an incident that was just likely her lack of knowledge, ignorance you might call it, being unawares, it leaves a poor taste in my mouth. And I had to just sidebar for a second and just go through that timeline, because that thread really got to me. Anyways, their relationship really deteriorated from after this incident, and they continued to have a fractured relationships with a few moments of serendipity. It must be noted that there was no incidents alleged until the Tokyo incidents, but I will go through the timeline really quickly. 24th of August 2014, he confirms that he got rid of Amber and calls her an ego squawk, and he went to the Sunset Boulevard and shot up some Negroes in a club. But Kipper doesn't remember this text happening. Despite Amber Heard claiming Depp having mania and hallucinations, a professional doctor, Dr. Kipper, did not concur with this, nor was he ever told that he was having mania and hallucinations. Amber Heard had told Kipper that Depp would explode on her. 27th of August 2014, nurse Erin Borum, now Erin Folati, hired to provide private nursing care for Amber Heard. What could be the reason for this? Beats me. Likely the detox is now over and he's traveling to London with Amber Heard. 29th of August 2014, Erin, Debbie and Amber Heard went out to dinner and recorded to have had 2 to 3 glasses of red wine. She was educated in regarding to alcohol intake, but she stated that she understood and continues to consume the wine anyway. Amber Heard vocalized that she feels like Depp would like her to decrease or eliminate her acting career and stay at home. Erin had encouraged her to discuss her feelings with Dr. Colonel Cowan, who became her therapist on the 24th of August 2014. 30th of August 2014, again, it is hard to make out the note in regarding to this conversation with Cowan and Amber Heard, but it was about Depp and his career. She mentions that Depp and his problem regarding romantic scenes was noted. Says that everyone around him seems intimidated by his power and money, and no one says anything to him. This is almost a similar account to what she told to Bonnie Jacobs. 3rd of September 2014, Cowan notes that the relationship is conflict-free, says that she dropped out or she has been taking or enrolled to doing online courses recently, history and something in the Greek alphabet. Do apologize, I am suffering from reading all of this. Cowan notes that she compares her career to Depp's career, and upon looking at this deposition, the narcissism was actually of the opinion of Cowan, and he went on to clarify that he did not diagnose Depp as narcissistic, and unless a wrong date has been mentioned, Cowan notes that Depp was jealous of Amber Heard's career and noted for 13th of August 2014. However, Cowan began seeing Amber Heard until the 26th of August 2014. My mistake on what I said earlier. Cowan believed Amber Heard had bipolar 2, otherwise she would not have been on the type of medication that she was on. Cowan admits that people would not tell the therapist the whole story. I must note here that unlike Bonnie Jacobs, she doesn't report any abuse to Cowan until December 2015. Cowan also never heard from Amber Heard that Depp pushed, kicked, etc. on the island. He also noted that he did not feel that Amber Heard was feeling unsafe. This was while he was asserting the possibility of a victim to stay with an abuser. It was also noted there was a possible issue with Amber Heard and Lily Rose. Cowan doesn't remember why it was even recorded by him. He does, however, note that there was conflict between Depp's family and her, namely Chrissy Dembrowski, Depp's sister. He stated that it's likely rooted in jealousy, as Amber Heard felt like she was controlling Depp. Depp keeps the peace with her family and friends. She has a problem with his family. I don't know, man. I don't know. But I'm not an expert, so I can't comment on the dynamic that could be happening here. The highlighted material in the document he was reading from were not the originals, and testimony given until page 163 to 165. We are now moving to the month of September. 5th of September 2014, Cowan notes plans for proposed wedding day and question marks on prenup. Notes nothing planned or in place, and she is ambivalent about it. The talk of prenup was always around way before Australia. It actually began here on the 5th of September, probably even earlier. And to be quite fair, it was raised here by Amber Heard, and it's not noted here who suggested of a prenup, whether it was Depp or whether it was Amber Heard. He also notes that Amber Heard's mom, Paige Heard, wants to retire, and it was suggested to her that she should think about these financial commitments more clearly. Paige was 58 and it was a decision. This was cited as a source of anxiety. On the 7th of September 2014, Debbie noted that Depp was happy that the sobriety is going well, and also notes that Depp uses the term or the phrase blue mini beast to describe his drug and alcohol rather than monster, by saying he's happy to have it off his back. 10th of September 2014 rolls by. Cowan notes that Depp reacted more positive on her taking this job than usual, and Amber Heard seems pleased and relieved. Also notes of a conference call with Kipper, who notes that Amber had been bitchy at her, and JD is obviously comfortable and attached to Debbie. Amber may be jealous and threatened by their closeness. It is suggested that Debbie should not go to France with them and should let Amber Heard and Depp go alone. Note that Amber Heard could be more insecure than what she describes to him. Debbie witnesses an argument that started by Amber Heard, and Depp was the one that calmed her down. Nurse Erin documents that Amber Heard is anxious and agitated in the evening, drank several glasses of wine, was angry towards the friends and associates, blaming them for Depp's substance abuse. It must also be noted that the detox is over and the sobriety has begun, yet Amber Heard for some reason believes that the people there are yes men to his substance use. 11th of September 2014, Amber Heard expresses fears that Depp might relapse. Again, no reasons are given for these fears. They are well in the way to recovery and sobriety. 12th of September 2014, Depp expresses concern for Amber Heard's behavior and were having issues as it adds stress to his life. He was advised to work on himself, to also begin work with the psychiatrist, which turns out to be Alan Blaustein, who is going to come into the picture quite soon. Both Depp and Debbie agreed that it's best if Depp and Amber Heard go to the France Without Treatment team. It was revealed here that Amber Heard had her own treatment team. What for? Beats me. 18th of September 2014, Kipper had emailed Dr. Blaustein, he has not seen Depp yet, to inform him that Depp was doing remarkably well, and this was in regards to the treatment and progress he was making to Kipper's treatment for the detox. 19 to 20 of September 2014, Depp had an injury from a bad stunt and was sent to the clinic in London. 21st of September 2014, Erin reports of news breaking of her cell phone being hacked, and nudes were posted online. And was noted that she experienced a level of anxiety and Kipper to increase the dosage of Neurontin from 100 milligrams to 400 milligrams and 25 milligrams of Seroquel at bedtime, 200 milligrams of Neurontin during the daytime. It was noted that client took partial dose of the Seroquel that was administered. Put a pin on these medications that has been noted because it's going to come really important much later on. And JD also offered assistance, but as you may have guessed, it wasn't good enough. On the 22nd of September 2014, Depp reports that Amber Heard had claimed that she had a Nazi freakout and he needed some knockout yum yum. This was reported to Kipper. At 3:30, it was noted by Debbie Lloyd, I believe, that he was punching the whiteboard in the kitchen after a fight, which shows a pattern of choosing to assault objects rather than a person. Debbie Lloyd notes that Depp refused to go to bed because he didn't want Amber Heard to think he didn't care by falling asleep. 22nd, I'll be fair here and I'll comment a little bit. I do believe that this fight actually happened based on the context. I do think it actually happened in regards to the revenge porn that was actually happening at this time. It was industry wide, so it was a quite distressing moment, and this is how Amber Heard had reacted to that distressing moment. It's not to say that it's okay that she had the right reaction. It's just with the context, it seems far more likely that this was the case and she was reacting to this than what Depp did, and Depp was catching strays as a result. But I don't know. 26th of September 2014, Depp reports that he stayed up on the phone with Amber Heard. Oh, and also, if it's not apparent by now, Amber Heard and Depp are engaged at this point. It is well known, which is why you see fiance, etc. in the notes, because from August they were officially engaged. Anyway, moving on. 29th of September 2014, reported to the nurse by security that Depp slept in the kitchen chair till 6 a.m. Let's sidebar for a second. Not only is he not detailed as drunk, high, this just appears to be who he is. This seems like the type of person that would just fall asleep anywhere. And I'm saying this in reference to the Bahamas pictures, in reference to when he said he was sleeping on the floor. 2nd of October 2014, entered Dr. Blaustein, Depp's psychologist. 11th of October 2014, Debbie Lloyd notes that Depp slept through the call with Amber Heard again. He's sleeping. And he's sober. Let's move on. He slept through the call with Amber Heard. And the reason why I know this is because you can hear sleeping as well in audios where we don't know whether there's been influence of alcohol or not. Regardless, here is kind of proof that he is sleeping through a call. To be quite fair though, this is 5 a.m. on a Saturday night, so there could be basis that he's just tired. 8th of October 2014, Erin noted that she had discussed the conflict with Amber Heard and understood how miscommunication affects Depp's feelings. Debbie Lloyd knows that there was an argument with Amber Heard and Depp is calm, says he was upset and would like to be alone. He also wants to sleep on the couch and did not sleep until Amber Heard fell asleep. There seems to be a parallel here, but again, I'm not an expert. On the 14th of October 2014, reported that Depp kicked the door on set and was verbally aggressive to another person for no apparent reason. 15th of October 2014, reported that Depp is having desires of escaping with drugs, was given positive reinforcement. 19th of October 2014, it was reported that Depp tells his sister and Debbie that Amber Heard and him argued the night previously. 21st of October 2014, Depp reports to Blaustein that Amber Heard was hitting him. He was encouraged to show vulnerability to her in the session. An additional phone call was had the same day, and his date and Amber's own instability, where rage was the topic. Blaustein recalls talking about raised voices, yelling, and throwing things. Blaustein noted also that he withdrew in these situations due to his past. This method protected his feelings. 22nd of October 2014, an emergency appointment was booked with a psychiatrist. 22nd of October 2014 noted that Depp did feel better after the conversation, and expressed that he is in a no-win situation in regards to the situation with Amber Heard. Dinner plans were made with Amber Heard. However, he actually wants to stay at home as he feels exhausted, but he doesn't want to upset Amber Heard. 23rd of October 2014, Depp expresses that he feels that Amber Heard uses the term mania to explain his behavior and excuse herself from any fault during arguments. Stress about current state of relationship. As you can see, this is strong basis that this mania idea began with Amber Heard, and believed he had mania and manic episodes and was spreading it whenever she could. And this was the first time Depp was actually privy to it, and he's now raising it up when he was privy to it. 24th of October 2014, Depp noted to have taken care of fiancé. 25th of October 2014 reported that Depp had a rough morning with Amber Heard and would like to process. Plan to keep the peace with Amber Heard so that they can speak to therapists. Depp has attended all 3 of the weekly sessions available so far. 26th of October 2014 reported that he and Amber Heard expressed their true feelings and felt lighter. 27th of October 2014, Depp reports more old relationship issues. He reports that he was accused of being manic. This is the second time. 29th of October 2014, first time Depp and Blaustein had a face-to-face session. They mainly discuss his family and childhood, issues with mom and the other psychotic sister, father being an alcoholic, and his mother being abusive. He was deemed to be clear of all drugs except for THC, which is marijuana. 4th of November 2014, it is believed that Amber Heard was up to no good and said nothing to him the previous night because her love isn't genuine. 5th of November 2014, Depp noted to be concerned that Amber Heard is not responding to his texts all day, making him angry, and felt like she is doing this on purpose to upset him. Debbie encouraged to speak with Amber Heard and therapists about this. Again, with the context of the text message by Amber Heard, this note is very revealing into the reasons as to why Depp even feels like this. The 6th of November 2014, Depp reported that he had come in to discuss strategies for breaking up the relationship. Depp had also told Blaustein that Amber Heard was lying to him. 6th of November 2014, Amber Heard states that she started arguing with JD when she arrived home. Nothing here to say what about, noted as anxious and withdrawn. 7th of November 2014, Cowan Exhibit 10. Amber Heard messages Cowan saying that Johnny broke up with her, says that he's manic, claims he is high and probably drinking. Amber Heard messages Cowan asking if they could go in and see him in the next day as a couple. 8th of November arrives, message from Amber to Cowan saying that things are better with her and JD, and he wants to come and see him, but are exhausted because of the marathon of breaking up. Cowan also messages Amber Heard, says that there's a lot of hurt and distrust from both, and reassures that she wasn't the cause or the provocateur in the recent meeting that they had, in which Depp had walked out. He also notes that Depp is hurt and needs to find his own ways to heal, and Amber Heard also was given reason, but Amber Heard rebuts to all of this by saying that the reason why he's acting like that is because he's a child and has little foresight, and he often gets angry. 10th of November 2014, Depp in for session and reports on relationship and core issues of trust, that the meeting with our therapist was fruitless. Depp expresses confusion on wanting to fix the relationship or help getting out of it. So at this point, just for full context, he is in pure confusion, and we could only wonder why he's in confusion of whether to end the relationship or to continue and try and fix the relationship. 11th of November 2014, defendants 3 or 4. Again, this was Amber Heard's exhibit, and it basically notes that Depp is feeling insecure of Amber Heard staying out too late at a beach party till 5 a.m. Questions if he's being jealous by writing this message. This is very absurd because when you just look at the context, it kind of makes sense. The fact that he's also thinking of breaking up with her, this text makes perfect sense. Why she's even using this as proof of control or anything whatsoever, to be quite frank, doesn't make sense. He also went to see Dr. Blaustein later and discussed the relationship, expressing he wants out, needs to access the exit door to know what he truly wants. November, Amber Heard verbalizes that she is anxious and fears of abandonment, that there is uncertainty of relationship status, and confused about cause of argument with fiance. On the 11th of November 2014, he knows that Depp had left the joint session. Cowan yet to hear from him. Amber is also terrified during these moments that she will lose the relationship. Her strategy is to call and ask that he come back, and Cowan encourages her to let him process all of this. 13th of November 2014 only noted that Amber Heard was crying in distress, irritable, fatigued, etc. 14th of November 2014, Dr. Kipper sends plea to Depp encouraging him not to give up, as he is too gifted to let his hard work be for nothing, essentially. 14th of November 2014, Depp communicates to Whitney about Amber Heard was forwarded to Cowan by Amber Heard. 16th of November 2014, Amber Heard expresses confusion about relationship with fiancé. 17th of November 2014, it's reported that Depp sends message to Kipper saying him and the team should run to the hills, and goes on to say that he went to see Amber Heard downtown. Debbie notes that he spent time with Amber Heard and are working things out. Previously was having issues. 20th of November 2014 notes that communications with Amber Heard are improving and are starting to work things out. 20th of November also notes that Amber Heard continues to interact with JD. It has taken 2 months to basically reach to a point that they're finally communicating on some level. 23rd of November 2014, as a result of not taking meds, Depp states that he has been sleeping well, and him and Amber Heard are in a good place emotionally. He was strongly advised to continue on to the course of medication. 24th of November 2014, session with Dr. Blaustein resulted as follows. Depp reports that the relationship seems to be stabilizing, and both Blaustein and Depp looked at the jealous parts of himself, things that makes him jealous and what roles he plays in the jealousy. Triggering point was suspected to be when he was 22, as an actress had cheated on him with a leading man. If this was when he was 22, this could be Sherilyn Fenn, as they did date in 1985 for 3 years. 23rd of November 2014, Amber Heard and Depp reconciled, and Amber Heard is happy and content with the relationship. 4th of December 2014, where Depp reports that relationship is stabilizing. Note, using adults to attend to a jealous angered child, which Blaustein explains was him explaining to Depp that he's using his adult self to some of his angry, jealous feelings he has as a child. This could also go into the observation that I made earlier in regards to the monster reference, that he sees the monster in this case as a child, the monster child. He's putting the monster child away. This could very well be the context to why he thinks like that. And again, must know that all through that period from August onto December, not what reference to the monster by Amber Heard, by anyone around him. 8th of December 2014, it is noted that Amber Heard and Depp had a horrible fight and was up all night. 8th of December, it is also noted that Amber Heard had reported moderate anxiety throughout the day as a result from an argument the previous day. Only slept for 3 hours. 9th of December 2014, well rested for 8 hours and was able to process her arguments from a few nights prior. 10th of December 2014, Depp went for an individual session. Reports on the fight with Amber Heard believed to be on Sunday night. This was the 7th of December 2014. I certainly have zero confirmation of this, but perhaps this was the genesis of the fight. It was Depp spending 25,000 sterling on a naked picture of Moving on, it was also noticed that Depp's role in the relationship is primitive and seems to rely on makeup sex and advised to have a safe escape. Blaustein expanded that what he meant by makeup sex was that the issues were resolved really by working things out, but rather by having sex. So at least we know why the relationship has been going on for this long, despite all of the many calls from Depp to end it since May 2014 it's been recorded till now. He was still confused. I'm sorry, but this is just a guy thing. This is such a guy thing that this happens very, very often. I don't know, man. 18th of December 2014, it reports a big fight with Amber Heard yesterday, which is the 17th of December. Depp reports either him or they as a couple are struggling with how to separate. Was advised that he should let her tell him her feelings, as the relationship needs to take care of you. This is why we hear Depp in the audios giving us so much time and space to talk. The note also says that Blaustein communicated to Depp that she or both of them needs to go to a safe zone to withdraw from one another. It also notes down that this is different from his childhood experiences, that this relationship is completely different from his childhood experiences. Moving on, 19th of December 2014, Amber began to share more to Cowan about her life and revealed that she is protective of her mother and her father is a volatile alcoholic. Revealed that both mother and father has a history of drug abuse, so it's not just one of them, both of them actually have an history of doing this. And reveals that Amber Heard contributes monthly towards supporting her mom and has an older sister, half sister, that has no relationship with the father. 23rd of December 2014, session with Depp notes that he is continuing sobriety given self-care techniques instead of using whilst working.
There wasn't a lot of discovery to the evidence that she presented. It was her word, and that's what happened. Then Johnny Depp had evidence that was not allowed, like the police were discounted because they didn't spend enough time, or his photographs, or the recordings of Amber admitting to abusing him. All of those things were also not allowed on his side. So I feel like there wasn't, in my opinion, a fully analyzed process of the evidence on either side, on that side for her words. And then, of course, she was a witness. It was the son.
Yeah.
Working in a paper in the U.S., what we do is, if we can vet our source well enough, that's it.
Anyway, so looking again at the Heard and Depp case,
yeah,
I think it is fair to say that Amber Heard never dreamt that she would be called to account on a defamation basis for the statements that she published under her name in the Washington Post.
Yeah.
We all know of somebody who's been in a divorce or been in a marriage where it hasn't been great and both parties were shitty to each other, and it occurs. I mean, look, you put two people under a house living together with stress and all sorts of other things, and it can get bad both ways. I mean, rarely is one party the angel and the other is the demon. It's not always. I mean, that happens, but there are cases where unfortunately both parties are in a very toxic relationship where they're hurting each other, whether it is emotionally, psychologically, or a combination with violence, and it happens. I mean, it is not rare. Unfortunately, it exists, and it's, again, part of our society. It's how we are as human beings, and it just happens.